Streaming August 15th. From the Lakeview Grill. The man. The myth. The legend. Phil Van Tassel Farewell Tour. Live. On YouTube.
Can I get everybody's attention? We're gonna start the festivities. Wave to Mark. I think he might be watching right now. And Betty. And maybe Choli, and I don't know who else is watching, but.
Choli and Mary and Chris.
Yes.
And John and Dan and Rhoda and everybody.
Lots and lots of names. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Matt Savage. I know Phil for, I don't know, quite a few years now. How many years? 5? 5? Everybody just shout out a number. We'll take a round median, right?
28 years.
Yeah, 28. Yeah. See, I'm 40, so probably 52. 52 years. Okay. Let's all raise our glasses to Phil. He's gone on before us. He brought us all together, brought us a lot of love and friendship, and no matter what the case was, no matter how gloomy it looked outside, I saw pictures up here. He had the same smile for years and years and years and years. So, to Phil. So we're going to pass around. We're going to pass around the microphone. If you talk and you're not talking into the microphone, nobody on the internet can hear you. It was Pat's idea to everybody introduce themselves because we don't we don't know everybody. And after today, I'm not going to remember your names either.
And how you're connected to Phil.
Yes.
You know Phil.
Yes. Okay. So if one of us will have a microphone and we'll just kind of go back and forth. But Pat, if you want to start.
Hello? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, just kidding. I knew Di and Phil. I met them in 2001 when they came to appraise a property that I had remodeled, and immediately had a connection and a kinship with them as they went around the house and pointed out all the features. And Phil would talk to Di and say, "Oh, isn't that grand, Di? And look at that, and look at this." And so as I was flipping houses, and so every house I did, they would come and remodel or do my appraisal for me and tell me what it was valued at. And they were the type of people, as all you can attest to, who the moment that you met them, you had a kinship. They had a magnetism that was magical. And I have never known a couple that was such an inspiration who lived 59 and a half years and never ran out of things to talk about. I mean that. Di once shared with me that she thought, you know, we got married after 4 dates, and she said, I always wondered or worried that I was going to run out of things to talk about, and we never did. And that is amazing. When you see people that sit together for dinners and so forth and never share a word with one another, and they ate together, they slept together, they worked together, they dined together, and it was just a magical thing. So Phil and Di were a wonderful couple, and Phil has left her with wonderful resources of wonderful friends and support group. So that's my story. So I think we'll just start so we can do it. So just give your name and your connection, and don't make it as long as mine, but so it is on. Okay,
great. I'm Perry, and I am I am a chosen member of the family. I chose first, and the family chose second, but it all worked out. I have been a part of the family's life since I was in 4th grade.
4th grade?
Well, I actually think it was like 1st and 2nd grade, right, Mark? But 4th grade, best friends with Mark, and then eventually best friends with Vicky's, Tori. So a long history with the family. And Phil, I have great kindness. And he, just positivity, an example of what you want a dad to be.
you, Perry.
Yes.
Hi, my name is
7 years.
So,
We're having problems here.
oh, you can't hear me.
Yeah. Start over again with you.
Just continue on, my darling. Continue on.
Nobody said hi to you anyway.
I feel left out. Is it okay now? Okay.
You on, my darling.
Is it on? Okay. I'm not going to start over, am I?
No, you're not.
Okay.
You're going to just continue on, my darling.
So every time Di and Phil came in, we could hear them before we saw them
Oh,
because it was a celebration every time they came in, truly.
we were always laughing and talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quite an appointment. It was always a joyful occasion to see these two. And all of us are going to miss this. Thank you, Kathy.
Hello there. I'm Tim Kelly, and I had the honor and privilege of being Phil's son-in-law for 33 years. And I tell you, it was really an honor and a privilege. I remember the first time that I met him, so charismatic, so much charisma, and I just felt that warm, welcoming feeling. And I remember, I think Di said, oh, try to come with a story, to tell. And really, my whole 33 years has been one long story with Phil because it's just been, wonderful. He's a wonderful father-in-law, mentor, a great giving person. And I'm just privileged to know him, through the years.
Hello, I'm Tanner. I'm this guy's son, which makes Phil my grandfather. Anytime I ever saw him, he was smiling and happy. I'd call him a ray of sunshine, honestly. I think he lived a great life, and I feel like he was truly satisfied with everything he did through life.
Hi, I'm Joel, and I'm
Formerly known as Bert Lancaster in the film. He's mistaken, too.
for those 4 of you who know who Burt Lancaster was. I am Perry's partner. He and I have been together 27 years, and I never met Phil. I've never met Di until this day. However, I know Phil vicariously through Di's letters, her awesome letters that she writes to Perry. Yeah, so.
And to you, Joel.
To me. And that's the Phil I know. And he seems like a wonderful guy. I wish I would have known him.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Bob Dearborn. This is my wife, Debbie, and my granddaughter, Jasmine. Jasmine had the pleasure of serving Di and Phil. And Deb and I, for over 30 years, had had the privilege of them to come in our restaurants and have that famous pot roast. Yeah. But, I was mainly in the kitchen most of the time, but I always knew when they were in the dining room because it lit up with laughter and loud noise. Yeah, so, thank you.
Okay, Jasmine's shy, speaking okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm Debbie, and I just want to say how I'm an emotional person, so we're going to miss Phil so much. He was always so kind and very complimentary, always had a smile on his face. And you and Phil and you were always the kindest customers a person could ever hope for. Never have I ever seen you, either of you, sad, always happy, with a smile on your face. And we're going to miss him dearly. And I thank you, Di, for all your friendship throughout the years.
And we missed you. We had gone down at Christmas to an 80 here with you. just to see the great decorations and things. Now, they live, kind of not, we go to a few, that's in Chicago. And we're going down a staircase, and they're going up one. And we are. And we got so confused. Here our dear friends are, and we're all in the same place. We couldn't have done that if we planned it.
And she didn't really say that you were really great tippers. That's the emotional side of it, yeah. Yeah, there's a little more to that story. Yeah, Richard, would you like to?
Sure. Yeah, Mark. Yeah, this is Rick Saunders. I'm a friend of Phil and Di's, and I've met you more than a few times, I guess. And I'm hoping that you're doing well. You're sitting up there in the hospital, and we hope that you improve and be well soon. Thank you.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Terry, and this is my husband, John. I work for the Dearborns, and I've had the privilege of knowing Phil and Di for the past 6 years. You're the best.
And they work with tippers. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. And there are some people that won't speak. That's okay. They don't get dinner.
They don't get dinner.
They don't get dinner. I meant to tell you that at the beginning. So
I'll sing a song.
Here's your next chance.
You just say 2 dinners so far.
I'm Robert Hewitt, and I've met Phil and Di through cleaning at Di and Phil's house with my wife, Christine. Mine will be short because Christine has got to spend more time with them. But I would attribute to being at Di and Phil's house as an escape from the normal world. Because sometimes you don't get to see everyone. Some people get to see them, what it's like to see them outside of their home. But really, what someone's like in their home is who they really are. And it was there's something very enchanting about being in their home. There's the cool pictures. It's decorated awesome, and it's full of life. And I just remember that Phil would take me occasionally over to the sliding door, and when he hit the time we had deer coming to the back and looking at them and how excited he was always excited about everything. So, and that is both of them together, is really Phil. Di is Phil, Phil is Di, and they're a very enchanting couple. So. Yep.
So I did all the work while Robert.
She was talking to Di, and I was working.
Yeah, we would spend a lot of time talking, but the great thing about after the cleaning was done, there was always at least an hour of chatting and stories, and I could have just stayed and stayed and stayed, and now that Robert's out of the picture and doing other work, I can stay and stay and stay, and it's so wonderful. And as a married couple, and we've been married 6 years, so we're still trying to figure it out, but we secretly, I would just look at them and think, wow, I gotta have that. Gotta have that. You did. And Robert's on his way. He's training well. We're getting there. Yeah.
60 years.
So blessings to you, Di, and from here forward, still surrounded by beautiful friends, loyal friends and family, and we're never leaving. So sorry. Never leaving.
And I want to say one thing. Christine and Robert are friends first. They were helpers in our house because I got older.
Thank you. Thank you.
Am I on camera?
Something like that. Sort of, not really. It's mostly microphone.
Yeah?
Sing now if you want.
Forget about that air vent behind you.
I know, right? There's an air vent behind me, so I'm like Marilyn Monroe on ice. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. When you're cool, the sun shines on you 24/7, which is why I'm wearing my shades. So, it's not a blind thing. I have 2 confessions. Confession 1, whoever saw me come in the room, I accidentally hugged Tanner, and I'm really, really sorry. I really, really didn't know that it was hands off. Number 2, my bucket list is to become best friends with Perry. So, Joel, you're going to have to back off. I've been hearing about Perry forever, and I really need his friendship. So, okay. I only came into Phil and Di's life when Tori was ill with leukemia. So, I was introduced like 5 years ago or so, toward the end. Yeah, I knew Tanner first. I yelled at him at my kitchen table. Then I met his dad, whom I grabbed his knee at 8th grade studies, because that's what you do at 8th grade studies. And then I met Tori, and she was the most wonderful person in the world. So then, of course, you can't meet Tori without meeting Phil and Di, because that's how these things go. But Tori left us. And then I had to stay with Mr. Phil and Miss Di, because once you meet them, you can't. You just can't. So 2019, everything goes wrong in the Van Tassel household. The fridge went on the fritz. The coach light broke. Blew off the house. The washing machine broke. The pipe under the bathroom laundry room broke. The table fell apart. But what was the pièce de résistance? Was the DVD player stopped making sound with the TV. And the TV worked perfectly, and it was beautiful. So Mark went out and bought a new DVD player, but it is now 2019, and that TV was made in 1780, and it wouldn't work with any of the wiring. So Mark and Mr. Phil went to Walmart at 10 o'clock at night to get adapters, and there weren't any adapters. And Mark started eyeing the flat screen TVs, and Mr. Phil was like, no, because Mrs. Di is at home kicking and screaming about how we're going to make this work because this TV is amazing and lovely and we do not need a new TV. Perry, are you paying attention to this? We're going to be friends. So, Mark decides we're buying the TV. And he looked around and he couldn't find his dad. And he started wandering Walmart. He's like, Dad. He found Mr. Phil at the front doors. And he's like, Dad, what are you doing? And Mr. Phil's like, I have lived with your mom for a very long time. She is at home kicking and screaming. If you're going to do this to us, I need deniability. I will be in the car.
That's it?
Oh, I am Tweedledum because I hugged Tanner. This is Tweedledee. I'm Heather.
That's our funny Heather. Phil Austin comedy. You could always tell the difference when you could hear Heather's laugh.
Wait, so is it my turn now then?
Get up and tell.
Get up.
Well, damn, lady.
Swear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Andrew. I'm Mr. Phil's birthday buddy. I share the same birthday as Mr. Phil. I didn't get to celebrate Mr. Phil's last birthday with him because of COVID. Unfortunately, we were supposed to, I believe, was it here? That we were supposed to spend our birthday dinner at? Well, we're spending our birthday dinner surrounded with a lot more people than we thought, and Mr. Phil's here in spirit with the rest of us. So, a happy birthday to you, big guy. Welcome up to the gates of heaven, and the rest of us down here will see you eventually. And I'm sure you'll be great when Miss Di joins you. That's all I got. Here you go.
Hello, my name is Joe Howard. Di, can I share how we met?
Yes, please. It is the best story.
Okay, this is a really great story. I'm actually extremely proud of it. I stopped in at the Silver Dollar to have lunch, and I was by myself. And there was an older couple, and you can guess who might have been sitting next to me, having the most intriguing conversation that you can possibly have about a cup of soup. And I never in my life heard more about a cup of soup with a couple. And the wonderful thing about that was, it wasn't that I was eavesdropping on them. I was actually enjoying their conversation. And I truly mean that. So Phil was, if I could just paint a picture, Phil had a newspaper of some sort, and he was sitting at the table. They're in a booth, and Di was talking. And anytime Di said something, he put the paper down and looked right in her eyes. And he would respond to her. And it would be the silliest things in the world. But he was on her. And I'm just sitting there eating and just watching them and honed into it. And I'm just like, are they newlyweds? I mean, how long have they been married? And, she would talk about the soup, and he would look at the soup and then read the paper. And then she'd say something about the soup again. And he's like, well, let me try a bite of that soup. So she handed him a spoonful of it in his mouth, and he looked at her and said, oh my gosh, you're right, that is good soup. And I'm just like ready to order a bowl of soup. And he looked over at her and said, it's very good soup, but it's not as good as yours. And I got up and I walked over to him. And I said, I don't mean to interrupt. I said, how long have you guys been married? And they had told me. And I said, I've just admired your conversation. It just made my day. Di gets up and gives me a kiss. I don't even know her yet. And I get a big smooch right on the cheek. I go up to the counter and I pay for their meal, just to pay for it. And they share their meals. So we're talking maybe $12. Okay, but I pay for it, never to think that I would ever see them again. And they had just warmed my heart, and they were so inspirational. And I got in the truck just really thinking I'll never see them again. 2 days later, I'm in the parking lot of Walmart, and what seemed to be 2 miles away was Phil running through cars to get to me. Okay? And I mean, like, running through cars, and I'm trying to figure out who's coming at me right now. And he finally gets to me, which I think, like I said, seemed like 2 miles out. And he gets up and he runs up to the side of my van, and he just could not believe that I had bought him that lunch. And he was just like, who does that? And you would have thought I bought him a car. And like I said, it was probably a $12 lunch. And I'm so proud of that story, because if you can get anything from that story, I could have not gone up to them. I could have not bought their dinner. I could have just walked out with a smile. But it's just funny, the people that are around you and how they can change your life. And Phil and Di, that was years ago. And they've meant so much to me and my family. And he has broke our heart. But we love you, Di. And we're here.
I'm the lucky one that gets to follow that. I'm Angie, his wife, and I did not get invited to that lunch that day. So I don't remember exactly how I met Phil and Di. I just would hear stories from him off and on as he would run into him or talk to him, and then eventually I think we first started talking on the phone for work. But boy, I'll tell you, yeah, maybe, no, but I think I met you before that. I think so. Somewhere around that time, though. So I haven't known them that long, but you feel like you've just known them forever. We call them our favorite people. If we're talking to somebody and we're having a party, we'll be like, oh, Phil and Di are coming. And they'll say, who's Phil and Di? Oh, they're our favorite people. You're going to love them. And we truly mean that. And my favorite memory, I think, of Phil was we did a parade in Yorkville, and we had called Phil and Di, I think just a couple days before, and invited them to come and be in the parade with us and ride on the tractor or the trolley. And they showed up to the parade, and they were in matching red, white, and blue, so patriotic, and just big smiles on their face. And I just remember them saying, we couldn't sleep at all last night. We were so excited. We were so excited. We couldn't sleep at all. And anything we'd have, from hot dogs at the house to little get-togethers, their excitement is just, you know, it's just something to take from Phil, is just the little things in life to get excited over, because a lot of us just pass that by. But he was just so happy and just found joy in the little things. So we love you and can't wait for many more memories with you.
Hi, I'm Alexis. I didn't get invited to that lunch either. But I do remember my dad always talking about this couple, Phil and Di, and we were like, who are these people? But then we finally got to meet them. I remember the first time I met Di, it was the fire. She brought us a rhubarb pie, and we were like, who is knocking at our door with a pie? I think it was, and we were all so excited. But they've always been a household staple in our home since we've met them, from the letters to our photo shoots on the porch. I'll never forget them peeking their heads out with our COVID photo shoot of them on the porch. And Phil was so excited they were both excited just to see someone. But they make our days just as much as you feel like you make theirs. But we love them, and yeah, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Di. I'm Rod Peterson. I'm Joe's dad. And just to share some of that thunder about the story that he told, kind of get a little emotional talking about it, because someone to be together as long as you folks were, I mean, that's just admirable in these days. And so and Joe tells me that story. We still go over that story, and it's like, and it just never gets old. But anyhow, so my personal involvement was, you know, with the Yorkville Heating and Air Parade, which you guys were involved in, and that became a tradition, obviously blemished by COVID in the last. But me being the tractor driver and you guys riding behind, and the critique that I got if I jerked them around. But anyhow, so no, just really great memories of you folks, and how, you know, you came to be part of our family just that quickly and just that warmly. And I mean, it's just amazing, and we're just going to miss that guy. And then just one other thing too, with the last time I saw Phil was actually the COVID drive-by party last, June or July or whatever. And but just such a, was it April of 2020, right, when the things were breaking loose? Anyhow, just such a warm guy, just a smiling guy, always made you feel like you just knew him forever.
Secret. I had to keep that secret. And he was going to go.
Yeah, otherwise you let everybody else know. Oh yeah, and it lasted a total of maybe 10 minutes, but yeah.
He was vibrating for months after that.
But anyhow, God bless you. Love you.
Hi, I'm Sandy.
You get me going too.
Maybe they don't care.
Hi, we're Dale and Sandy. We're both emotional about this too. Phil was our neighbor, along with all of us here. He was such a wonderful person. We had a lot of dinners and shared quite a few bottles of wine in his yellow chair there. He loved his yellow chair in the front room. And he was just an overall great guy. I mean, you couldn't find a better person. I mean, what could you not like about this guy?
Yeah. Wasn't he gorgeous?
I mean, he could announce the weather on Channel 7. That's what he looks like here. You know what I mean? So, Phil, we love you. Di, we love you. And we love having you as a neighbor, too. I'm your bodyguard. You know that, so. All right.
The largest silver maple in Kendall County was split in half in that big storm on Wednesday. And it led to my house.
Mr. House by 6 feet.
Came
So.
down and knocked down the red crimson. And the men came to clear it all away. And Jason and Dale and Serge, they were kind of wandering around and let those men know this woman's got her bodyguards here. And Dale stayed the entire thing. I saw him over on the front porch on his rocket chair. Just watching. Hours went by.
Yeah.
I was not alone with strange.
No, you never will be alone. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jen, and this is Serge. We also live across the street, part of the Four Corners neighbors. And ever since we moved in, Di and Phil they were so welcoming. Every holiday, I say non-holiday still, they would leave a bag or something on your door to welcome you. And the kids really enjoyed that.
First fresh corn of the year.
Fresh corn.
Yeah, first. And this year, Phil made his deliveries. It's always in.
Yeah. And I always enjoyed seeing him at the mailbox with a smile. He always had a smile on his face. And then I like how supportive and how they took care of each other. And I feel like they're such an inspiration, I would say, to the younger people that we want to be like that, you know? So I don't want to.
Hi, my name's Jake. This is my wife, Melissa. We just moved into the neighborhood back in November. Di knows it better than we do. We got introduced to Di and Phil and the rest of the neighbors. They all came to our porch one day, and I'm in basketball shorts and a T-shirt because I work from home. And I haven't showered in 2 days because it's the dead of winter and COVID, and I got nobody to impress in that house. They all come to the door. They're all dressed very nice. I'm like, I have to put a hat on. Walk outside. They introduce themselves and Di goes, all right, get close, go close. Snaps a picture. I'm like, oh no. That's going on somebody's fridge. And Phil's just in the back, just with the biggest grin on his face. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be interesting. So, Di and Phil, just two of the nicest people you could ever meet. We recently got married. I went over, gave them a heads up. Hey, you guys are invited to the party. If it gets too loud, just give me a call. Don't call the cops on us, please. No, we understand. It's no problem at all. We know what it's like to be young. So I never got to say thank you for not calling the cops on us for the burnouts. So I appreciate that. But Phil's going to be missed. He's always had a smile, always had a wave, just any time he saw you, and he was always just the light of my day. Other than my wife, obviously.
Good save.
It's okay.
I got it.
It's okay. Yes.
But, we love Phil. Di, we love you. We're here if you need anything.
I'm Bob Klein. This is my wife, Patty. And we've lived in Linwood a lot longer than they have. And known Phil and Di for a long time. I'm the lawnmower man in the neighborhood, and Di does the mowing. And I give Phil credit. I've never heard him yell at her for wrecking the lawnmower.
He's yelled at me, though.
I do, but he doesn't. He just smiles and go ahead and fix it. And even the other day, she said, and this is after he died, she says, Bob doesn't like the way I mow, because I don't pick anything up, I just run over it. And there was a big stick laying there, and she took off and ran right over it. And I just kept walking. But I've known them for a long time, and they're very nice people. And I don't know what else to say. We'll miss them dearly.
Pass it over to the.
I got
We just saved 4 dinners. Oh, Serge, did you want to say something? No? No kidding? No. Okay, we've saved 5 or 6 dinners now. Cash bar, no longer cash.
I wanted Serge to tell the story about when he was a boy, he was 16. You tell the story about the trains. I told that story to so many people.
Oh, no.
Just, I never would have thought to do this. But it takes a newcomer into a new city. Come up with an idea that a 16-year-old. Tell us what you
Well, my name is Serge. I just came from Guatemala and went to New York, and I was just walk outside to see I came in the Thanksgiving parade, so I see all the people coming out, like, what's going on? What's going on? So I went outside, looking at those big balloons, and I got lost. In New York, they're waiting for me, and I say, I need to meet my mom. Yeah, it was raining, and I need to meet my mom, and I'm like, and then she called me, where are you? I said, I'm over here. I said, where? And we're just passing by. We don't see each other's. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So finally, we met. So later on in the weekends, I decided to grab I said, I wonder where this train goes. So I decided just to go jumping and keep going. I said, whatever it takes me, I will stop and look around. So I decided that train took me to Wall Street, the Wall Street area around there. So I started walking, and I'm like, my God, this place is amazing. So that's what I was doing every weekend. I grab a train and just keep going to different places around the city. Yeah.
But the final one, you came home and you told your mother you had not just gone into New York.
Oh yeah, I decided there was a bridge, the George Washington Bridge. So I decided to walk this bridge. So I was just walking, and I decided to start Burger King, and I said, hey, do I am in Queens? No, you're in New Jersey. So how do I came in New Jersey? You just came from that bridge? I say, yeah. I said, you're in another state. I'm like, how can I go back now? Let's go back around the same way, in the same bridge.
Phil loved that story.
No.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Here you go.
Hi, I'm Christine, and Phil and Di entered my life also through their daughter, Tori. And my oldest daughter, Summer, and Tanner were friends starting in 6th grade, so that's when the family started to kind of get together, and Phil and Di came to everything. And they were always so happy to see every single one of us. And Phil especially had a way of just making you feel like you were so special. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody had mentioned that they could always tell when Phil and Di were there because they could hear them. And I work at the library and in the kids department, and they would always stop and visit around the corner, and I always could tell when they were there because I could hear them. And then I would go out and, we would chit chat. And the last time that Phil and Di came and visited me together at the library, we had the most wonderful opportunity to just sit and chat. And it was just such a special day. You don't know about it until after. But Di came in 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday. And she's always been so interested in anything any of the kids are doing and in what, I do at the library. And I told her, I was like, I can't talk very much today because I get to do my very first program since COVID. And she was about as excited as I was to be able to go in and do it because it meant that things were getting back to a little bit more normal. And I am eternally grateful that Tanner became friends with Summer, and Tori and I got to be such good friends. And then you guys you've always been there. And it always lit up, the kids always knew when they were doing drama programs or marching band or anything, they always had a fan in the stadium, in the audience that loved them unconditionally. And it's very special.
Hi, I'm Summer. I knew Phil and Di from Tanner. I was friends with him since 6th grade. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the first time we officially met was at Christmas. You invited me to dinner. Yeah. It was a very special Christmas because it was the first time I met you two, and it was the first time anyone had tried so hard to involve me in conversations. You know, I would go and most people would ask me how school would go, and that was it. But no, you and Phil made a special effort to make me feel included in the conversation and in the dinner, and made me feel like part of the family. And that was also the same dinner my dad snuck in to pay for all of it. And I remember you and Phil just being so excited and wondering who would do that. And yeah, you and Phil were at everything, all the concerts, all the plays. I remember one time during The Boyfriend, it wasn't a very good performance because no one in the audience was laughing, but every time there was a joke, you and Phil would laugh. You were the only people laughing, but you would laugh. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. Summer has a better memory than I do, because I will admit I don't remember how we officially met, but I'm also friends with Tanner. So I'm gonna say I know you through him, as well as through my mom becoming friends with Tanner's parents and then becoming friends with you guys. I will say I don't think in any time that like we've gotten together or anything, I don't think I heard of or saw any kind of negative moment between you and Phil, which I think, especially these days, is pretty rare. It's a pretty rare relationship to have where you're just kind of that close and that together and you do everything together. And yeah, like Summer said, you guys were like at everything. You thoroughly enjoyed anything you guys went to, and it was a good time. And you guys are really great people, and I'm glad I know you guys.
And so if you've been marking everything down, you've learned a couple of things. One is that you could actually write a book about soup, anything about soup. And you've learned if you smile a lot and are friendly, you can get meals paid for. So always remember that. And that you learned when you really love somebody, you can live with them for 59 and a half years and never find anything that you can't talk about. So we really appreciate you. Would you like to? Are you up for saying something? She's been kibitzing the whole time, so.
I have one quick story. So the Christmas dinner was the first time I snuck in and bought dinner for everybody. And I was beating on the back of the Dearborn's back door, and I snuck in one time, and I paid them, and nobody knew how much it was gonna cost. So I just gave them several $100s, you know, because if you're gonna trust somebody in town, you trust the Dearborns, right? And I said I tried to describe what my daughter looked like. I said, just give her the change, you know, and then I thought, you know, no one will know. Well, it made her really paranoid because I remember their daughter, Tori, asked me one time. She's figured it out. I'm not sure how, but I remember she said, don't you think it's about time we go ahead and tell them? And I said no, you know. I think she interrogated Debbie Dearborn. Did you pay for our meal? Well, it got to be an ongoing thing where when we would meet for lunch at the Dearborns, because there's no other restaurant to eat at, that's worthwhile anyway. We would pay. I would pay for their meal. I would sneak it off, or you'd slip something underneath the table. You know, Terry would help me out a lot. You know. It got to be so bad that one time I came in the morning when they opened and I prepaid before I got there. That way I showed up later. She watched me like a hawk, and then when they brought me the change, it was like, how did you do that, you know? So one day, I think I took Miss Heather to a doctor's appointment, and we stopped by there, and it just so happened they were eating, Phil and Di were eating at the table next to where we were seated. And we conversed, we talked, we ordered our meal, and then all of a sudden there was this awkward shuffle. Usually they're super excited. You know, you can't, I don't know a time when Mrs. Di is not talking. When the waiter comes to take the food, I just tell them, you gotta wait till she comes up for air, you know? And so they're shuffling around. It was really quiet, and I see them talking, and Debbie Dearborn's just staring at me from the register, right? Well, they come back to the thing, and then all of a sudden, Di is pushing Phil out of the restaurant, you know, pushing him out the door. You know, he shuffles, the Phil shuffle, you guys all know it. He doesn't go but one speed. And she was pushing him to his limit like she rides that lawnmower, okay? And they get outside. Now, those of you who've been to the Dearborns, it's surrounded by windows. There's windows everywhere. She gets right by the window, and Mrs. Di is cackling as she's getting out the door. And then at the end of the meal, I realized that she had bought my meal. They had bought my meal. They got me. Yeah. And Miss Heather goes, I can't believe that you got taken by a couple of senior citizens. That's probably one of my most memorable moments, because they are, you can't be around them and not have fun. You can't even be at a funeral dinner and not have fun. Yes. He always was just fun going. Anytime we went out, anytime we went over. I remember my family was in Florida for Thanksgiving one year, and they had me over for Thanksgiving. I met the Four Corners, I think, or most of you that day. And it's just, I'm not related to them, but no one outside of this restaurant would believe that if they seen us. They seen us together. They see how we interact with each other. No one would believe that we aren't family here. And because of Phil and Di. So to Di, Van Tassel. Does anybody have anything to say? It started as just tell your name, but turned into story time. Would you guys like another shot? No? We done? The food should be delivered. Nothing? Allie, do you have something to say? Oh, Summer's going to add something.
I just want to know, are you paying for this whole meal?
Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. Stand up this time. Don't slap Gabrielle.
I'm trying. This is one that I almost forgot, but it's one that doesn't affect just me, but people that you don't even know. While I was at college, almost every single week, Phil and I would send me news in a bright pink envelope with their names handwritten on the front. And I think halfway through my first semester, I came in to get my weekly mail, and I got to talking with one of the postal workers, and she just said that it never failed to make her smile to see the bright pink envelope, because no one sends mail to. I was the only person who got mail weekly at college.
And it had the funnies in it.
And it always had.
Your dad said you loved the funnies, and there was no way for you to get them. So we get the paper. We didn't get the paper in Sunday anymore, but Phil got the paper, so you could get the funnies and the letter on Monday.
And they always sent me the funnies. And that's it.
Okay, the food is arriving. So we'll take a quick intermission, and we'll continue on after some of the stuff gets settled. All right. Before we close the night out, we got a couple more where It's what? Clipping. It's because I'm yelling? Is it still clipping? Okay. Letters. We had 4, we're down to 1. And you have to stand like this. So know that when you do the thing, you have to do it that way. They say that, yeah. They say it's not about the destination, but about the journey, right? And I didn't know Phil when he was young and stupid, like all the rest of us men, assuming he was like a regular man, right? Yeah. I only knew him as the perfect end product, you know? I don't think he could have improved anymore. After the soup story, I think that's as best as you can get. I think I have a lot to... I see where I'm at, where he was, and how much further I have to go, right? I have one story I think that's a little funny. I was out to dinner with Phil and Di, and we went to a restaurant across Yorkville here. And I like ribs. I don't know why, but there's something about barbecue ribs. You can get them at different places, and they all taste different, right? Now, Mrs. Di makes great ribs. It takes her 3 weeks or something to make them. I fell asleep during the recipe, so I don't know. I don't know how it goes, but I got there and I saw ribs on the menu, and I said, I'll order ribs. Phil says, hey, those sound good. I'll order ribs too. So we were eating, I'm eating, and you know, you try not to touch anything. You try to have a bunch of napkins and then one wet wipe. You know, they give you the small one that you're supposed to shower off with after you're done. And I looked up from the table, and Phil looked like a clown. He had barbecue all over his face. I don't know how, but he had barbecue across his forehead. And he's got white hair, but he turned into a redhead by the end of it. Do you remember this? So Mrs. Di disowned him during the thing. She told the waitress, she says, he's never getting these again. He's never getting these again. I can't even take him out. So Phil disappears into the bathroom, and he was in there for like 15 minutes. I honestly believe he stripped down and showered in the thing because he couldn't come back until he was Di appropriate, right? That's the one story I have of him that was maybe just before he reached perfection. That was the last story I think of it, but we have a few more here. I'm gonna pass it along. If you wanna stand up, kind of angle towards maybe that camera, and we'll take it away, Tim.
Yeah, I'll try and do this.
You wanna clip it or hold it?
What do we got here? I'll just hold it, I guess.
Okay. There you go.
Let me try clipping it. Running out of hands here. All right, how's that? Is that better? This is pretty much what everybody has already kind of said. It's from Choli, who's kind of a family friend with the Savages and with Heather's family from Choli. My dear friend Phil was my example of living a joyful life. He always had a smile and a twinkle in his eye. I met Phil and Di through Tori. Our kids Tanner and Angelina are in the same circle of friends. Phil and Di would join us and become part of the same circle. Oh, the fun Heather mandated us to have. We enjoyed birthday parties, chili cook-offs, white elephant gift exchanges, and many of the kid activities together. So many wonderful memories. My most favorite would be our lunches. The group would even change from time to time to accommodate my work schedule. I enjoyed our talks, laughs, insights to all of our unique perspectives. Phil had a way of explaining things with grounded views, yet to be understanding or compassionate of a different view. We would regularly and unintentionally have the table with the loudest laughs. Our topics range from serious to silliest to curiosities. The topic that brought out the biggest smile would be the pride that he had for Tori, Mark, and Tanner. I felt that Mark and I were old friends before I ever even met him. I could see and feel the extreme love he had for Tanner. The pride poured out in the excitement of talking about him. It was always seemed that our time together was short, even if we were all spent hours together. My happiest memory of Phil is when I hired Phil and Di to appraise my house. I got to witness how Phil and Di worked together. Phil was a man working with his love and loving every moment of it, The business talk and the playfulness was as if they were in a waltz. Phil's eyes would light up at the sight of Di. That beautiful movie screen love story was being lived by Phil and Di. It was a true joy to witness Phil as an example that we can live a joyful life every single day. Thank you, my friend. I will never forget your example and do the best to do the same. Much love, Choli. Might want to just clip it on.
Yeah. I'll just hold it. Hey, so I have 2 letters here. The first one is from his sister, Chris. I am grateful to have had Phil as my oldest brother. He was the leader of the 5 of us and a positive influence. I remember how we lived in Barron, Wisconsin, playing all over the neighborhood every day. Our childhood was a happy time filled with lifelong memories. Phil taught me how to swim. He would jump off from the tallest diving board and go down really far in the water. It was fun and a little scary. Thankfully, I also have wonderful memories of visiting Phil and family in recent years in Oswego. And this other one is from his sister, Connie. Now, you'll have to excuse me, the handwriting is in cursive, so I'll try my best here. Phil, the amazing Phil, has given us all many warm and unforgettable memories of his remarkable life. As a young boy, the leader of the pack of 6 children, Phil, being the oldest sibling, organized our summertime neighborhood outdoor games. And Phil would invent games and activities. I remember when he installed my doll buggy wheels onto his new handmade go-kart, and then he honored me with this first terrifying ride with him down a scary sidewalk hill. Wow. Phil was a leader in high school, becoming the king of the famous school, Snowball Dance. And what a great match when he and Di met, fell in love, and married for almost 60 years. And so, the rest is history. We hold on to our sweet memories and gain strength from those past times with Phil and Di. And then Mark and Tori. God bless Phil and Miss Phil Van Tassel. And may God bless Mark, Betty, and Tanner. We love you all so much and are here for you in any way you may need us. With love, Connie Peterson and Pastor Dave Peterson.
Thank you. Yeah. Luckily, mine is not in cursive. Cursive is when you look at it and go, damn it. This is from Phil's brother, Dan. Yeah. And so Phil was the eldest. So as the eldest, fed, so remember, I'm reading this, it's a Minnesota story with an Okie accent. So as the eldest, Phil led the pack, the family. Just a year and 4 days celebrated his and my April birthdays. For most of his birthdays, the last decade or so, my cards and phone calls to Phil conveyed the spoofed hope that the year he was passing on to me, a hand-me-down year, was still viable and would serve me well. That I was inheriting something a bit used, but still a vital gift of value. Going along with the customary transfer of the expended, but still far from worn-out year, he would reassure me with a chuckle that there was still a lot of promising in what he was transferring to me. While he forged ahead with the next chronological advance, which, come the following year, again would be handed off to me, a little bit used, but still quite functional. This was a charade, whatever, yet it embodied a lifetime phenomenon. Phil was a pathfinder, a blaze trailer. He would start trends for all of us siblings. If he got straight A's, of course we had to get straight A's. If he gained popularity with his peers, we strove to do likewise. If he picked beans in the heat of late August to gain money to buy school clothes and supplies such as tablets, the biggest pack of coloring crayons affordable, a pencil box, we too all dutifully labored in the fields for the common purpose of equipping ourselves for another year of grade school. If he graduated from the small part to the middle part and finally to the big part of the Yellow River that flowed through our park, we learned our strokes and dives so we too could make it all the way to the spill well for the swims. When he was awarded the top badge in Cubs or earned the rank of life, completed the Pro Deo Patria project, or added the next merit badge to his Boy Scout sash, I of course followed the pattern, usually working side by side in the effort. We were pals on a similar path. I delivered the Superior Telegram, he the Minneapolis Star and Tribune. Because my paper route did not entail a Sunday issue, he and I together delivered the Trib on Sunday, a bulky issue that called on us to make trips back to the old fire station to restock our bags and to pile another packet on the sled for the winter. How he memorized our customers' names and locations, I elaborate in a chapter of Back to Barron, a book I wrote to chronicle our growing up in small-town rural America in the 40s and 50s. We all have great memories to share of Phil's huge and positive influence on the way we family members individually and collectively grew up and lived our lives. Today we remember, we honor, we celebrate him for his role as a lodestar in our personal universe. Brother Dan. Nice. Thank you.
Are there any other letters? Any other letters?
I think we have one more.
One more?
I think Joe's got one.
Oh, Joe? No, that's okay. We'll pass it on. We'll pass it on. Can you do voices?
Okay, so this is from Drew, which is the son of Phil's sister Connie. Phil was one of the most cheerful persons I've ever met. He brought a great deal of joyful energy wherever he went, and I remember his enthusiasm for so many things. His voice and his eyes would both light up when you would talk to him. I also would always say how much he looked exactly like the version of his mother and his father. I could see it in him in all the pictures. Phil and Di sent me an Ironman watch way back in 2001 after I completed the Ironman. Also, they would send me information about local wildlife sightings and updates, and always liked to hear about what was happening in their local area. He lived a good life and knew how to enjoy the small things in each day, and he got the experience out of things. And that's from, again, Drew. Oh, you got one.
I believe I have the final letter. So this.
And I want to see this whole people's faces right now, because I'm going to see Mark tomorrow, and I said, I'll take lots of pictures. And all I've been doing is sitting, crying, and eating, and one day I'll be a So, here. You too. Oh, yeah, you are a professional photographer. I mean, really true.
I can't operate a camera like that anymore.
Listen here, I'm an old woman. That's right, I don't know that.
He's not on your mailing list, or he would know.
That's right.
Those are Mark. I really thought.
The lighting's not perfect, guys, but it's good enough for Mark. I'm thinking now.
Good enough for Mark.
Good enough for Mark.
All right.
And Betty. And Kira.
Now I just have to keep my composure for this one. It's a longer one.
Think of everyone in their underwear.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. This final letter comes from Phil's little sister Mary. It is titled "A Special Tribute to My Brother Phil." At 15 years apart, Phil and I are what you might call the bookends of our siblings. He's the oldest and I the youngest. In 1954, our minister father had the great privilege of confirming Phil and baptizing me at the same church service. From the very beginning, it created a bond that would stay strong throughout our life. With 5 older siblings, it was an adventure. But when they grew into adulthood, I felt like an only child. When Phil came home to visit, I was his little Mary. I so looked forward to his postcards when Phil was away. In the early 1970s, I worked downtown Chicago. My parents and I lived in the south suburbs in Oak Forest. I commuted downtown on the Rock Island train. Phil and family lived in Sycamore. Phil also commuted downtown to work. One day, he came to take me to lunch, and we met outside of my office building. Later, when I came back to work, my coworkers wanted to know who the handsome guy was with me. They assumed he was my boyfriend. Sometimes on Friday, we took his train to Sycamore, where I spent the weekend with Phil, Di, Mark, and Tori. We had fun sleepovers and family time. Phil and I sitting under the stars in conversations about work and life. Phil always treated me as an equal. I'm thankful for all the visits that we had together over the years. I will miss Phil every day until we meet again, one sweet day. From forever, Phil's little sister Mary.
Okay, does anybody have anything else to say? I know, you want to try again? Okay, I made me nervous, you know, I was shaking. Parting words, and I'm going to let Pat read the back of the thing. Yes, for those that weren't able to make it, and then you can, and those that can't see, I'll let you read that. Yeah. And then if you want to toast or anything you want to say after that.
Thank you.
Oh, and Pat is actually a professional speaker with Toastmasters.
Oh, okay.
And with the best, right?
Thank you. No pressure there. No pressure there. My son, he got his degree in graphic arts and so forth. So anytime we ever need anything for my books or anything, I get my investment back. So he did this for Di. We thought it would be a nice thing because there's things here that I didn't know about them. So on the back it has Philip A. Van Tassel, April 24th, 1939, July 20, 2021. He was an appraiser for 24 years, and his favorite color was red. He was an avid reader and nature lover. He loved pot roast and pickled herring from the Little Norway store. He was part Bad River Chippewa Indian. We never saw the bad part. He was in the Air Force Reserve 6 years, was an air traffic controller, a manager at Illinois Bell, a skilled carpenter, a USPS letter carrier, and even a blackjack dealer. He built flat-bottom boats called bateaux and dye-painted them. He was adored by his children, Mark and Tori. He proposed to Di on their 4th date in a cemetery and spent 59 and a half years married to the love of his life. And it is said he was a magnificent, kind, patient, persuasive, loving, and grateful man. To you, Phil.
For $5 a piece. Anything you want to say?
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
No, I would, you know what I did at Tori's? I got up, I was going to tell you big stories, and I stood there and cried and cried. I do the same thing again. I'm not going to get through it again. We don't
Yeah.
need to do it.
All right. Just remember what happened the last time, all right? All right. Well, we hope you all have a good evening, great weekend. And I know that if Phil were here and we were toasting him, he'd be toasting us. So we appreciate you all. I know the family appreciates you all, and I appreciate you all. And it's a
love fest.
I'm privileged to have known you, and to have known Phil, and to just share all of this with you. So thank you all very much.
Thanks.